What's up, guys? Draft day is finally here. Today I'm previewing the Chicago Bears draft. I crammed a lot into this one video. I will cover the most recent rumors. I will show you my rankings for every position that I've been working on all off season. I will give a couple of draft predictions. I will tell you my favorite targets for day 2. And at the end, for those who love them, I will give a couple of mock drafts with scenarios. Let's get right into it. First off, the rumors. Michael Greenberg says all the buzz from everyone in Kansas City is that the Bears will take Jalen Carter at 9. As much as I'd love it, it's a no-brainer if he's there. But if the Bears are telling everyone that, to me they are hiding who they really want, possibly trying to trade down, or looking at an offensive tackle like Darnell Wright or Paris Johnson Jr. But you guys know I would be happy with Jalen Carter, so if those rumors are true, I wouldn't mind. There's also a lot of buzz connecting the Bears to all 4 offensive tackles in this draft. Those guys are Paris Johnson Jr., Broderick Jones, Darnell Wright, and Peter Skoronski. Then there are also reports that Poles really likes Lucas Van Ness and Georgia's Nolan Smith. Smith came out and said he met with the Bears more than any other team in the pre-draft process. There's just a lot of stuff going on right now. I think Poles' top 3 options are Jalen Carter, Tyree Wilson, and Will Anderson. If one of those guys falls, I think he pulls the trigger. After that, I think he likes Darnell Wright, Paris Johnson Jr., Broderick Jones, Lucas Van Ness, and Nolan Smith. He probably likes Bijan Robinson, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Peter Skoronski as well, but they don't make as much sense as the other 8. Once again, these are the 8 players I believe are most likely to become Chicago Bears tonight. Jalen Carter, Tyree Wilson, Will Anderson, Darnell Wright, Paris Johnson Jr., Devin Witherspoon, Lucas Van Ness, Christian Gonzalez. Honorable mentions to Nolan Smith, Broderick Jones, Peter Skoronski, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Bijan Robinson. Okay, now I want to show you guys my rankings for every position except quarterback. You can see on the chart that the deepest positions for me in this draft are defensive end, cornerback, wide receiver, and defensive tackle. The interior of the offensive line seems shallow, but if you combine the guard and center positions, it's also a really deep class. Running back is another deep position. Safety, linebacker, offensive tackle, and tight end seem like the 4 weakest positions in the class. The tight end class has a lot of talent, but it thins out kind of quickly. The tackle class is pretty top heavy, with 4 to 5 potentially going in the first round, but less than 20 draftable players total at the position, with quite a few projects and guys that could be moved to guard. After the first round, the tackle talent dries up pretty quickly. If Poles likes one of those guys and is confident in his scouting abilities, I'm all for it. That being said, leaving the first round without a tackle is a little bit scary this year. I get it, there are some guys left, but if we leave day 2 without a tackle, I'm going to be worried. And then looking at the defensive line, you can see the talent goes 30 players deep at each position. The defensive line will be addressed throughout this draft, in my opinion. I predict that. Poles has to make some picks on this defensive line. And then the cornerback class is another one that Ryan Poles should take advantage of. Some of the strengths in this draft line up perfectly with our weaknesses, so Poles has a chance to hit a home run tonight and a few more this weekend. I spent a ton of time playing with this I spent a ton of time this offseason playing with these rankings. I'm way too indecisive, and I've moved guys around probably 5,000 times. I watched at least 1 game of tape, and most likely 3 to 4 for every single player on this list. I will watch an entire season of film or more for every player we draft this weekend. I cannot wait to stop speculating and actually get to break down some players. If you don't see someone on my rankings, most likely I have them rated as an undrafted free agent. There is a small chance I made a mistake and left someone out though. I have moved guys around a ton. Darnell Wright recently jumped from offensive tackle number 3 to number 1 for me. I've held him back too long. He's the perfect fit for the Bears in my opinion. He has the tape. He was dominant in 2022. He shut down Will Anderson. He allowed 0 sacks all year. Then he dominated the Senior Bowl with Luke Getsy, shutting down a variety of different pass rushers. Then he went to the Combine and tested off the charts and finished with the number 1 athletic score out of any offensive lineman in the class and the 3rd highest athletic score out of any position in the entire draft. He has it all. He's emerging as one of my favorites to be a Bear. Don't sleep on Darnell Wright. The tight end class has a ton of talent, but after a couple of runs at the position, the talent is just going to dry up quickly. It's very similar to offensive tackle. Then I have Steve Avila rated as a guard and a center. I have Jartavius Martin as a safety, even though he might be a corner. These are my positional rankings for the NFL draft. I will tweet these out as well as post them in the Discord for anyone who wants to check this out as the draft plays out. Okay, now as a bonus, before I get to the mock drafts, I want to give you my top 20 guys to target for day 2. After we make our first pick tonight, everyone's attention will turn to our 3 picks tomorrow. Could Ryan Poles make another move before then? Of course. But as we enter the start of the NFL draft, these are my 20 favorite day 2 targets for the Chicago Bears. In no particular order except the first couple guys are my absolute favorites. We have Keon White, Adetomiwa Adebawore, Joe Tippmann, John Michael Schmitz, Steve Avila, Cody Mauch, Wanye Morris, Derek Hall, Isaiah Foskey, Zach Harrison, Byron Young, Isaiah McGuire, Felix Anudike Uzoma, Darius Rush, Julius Brents, Gervin Dexter, Keanu Benton, Tui Tuilapotu, Zach Charbonnet, and Jonathan Mingo. Those are my favorite guys as of right now heading into the start of the NFL draft. To be there on day 2, they're all great fits. I would be happy with almost any of these guys. I think a couple of them can even fall to day 3. We'll see how this draft plays out. It's so deep. Okay, and now I want to give you guys a couple of mock drafts with scenarios. Let's go. Okay, so this first one here is my mock draft from this morning. I put it on Twitter. It was my final mock draft of the year. I loved it. I made one trade. I gave up pick number 9 to the Steelers for picks number 17 and 32. Getting that Chase Claypool pick back, I was then able to land Tennessee tackle Darnell Wright at 17 and Adetomiwa Adebawore at 32, 2 of my favorite players in the entire draft. I then added a center of the future, who can also be a Pro Bowl caliber guard in Steve Avila. Zach Harrison is my freakishly athletic pass rusher. Darius Rush added to take Kendall Vildor's job. Then in round 4, I added a couple of playmakers, grabbing Jonathan Mingo at receiver and Israel Abanikanda at running back, before grabbing a huge value in DeMarvion Overshown to add even more talent to the linebacker room. Jalen Redmond would give me 2 options at 3 tech with a ton of athleticism. Payne Durham is a tight end who would be a huge value this late, and Dante Stills was my last pick. I loved this draft. If Poles came even close to emulating this one, I would be going crazy with excitement. What do you guys think about this one? Let me know in the comments. And now I have another scenario for you, the Jalen Carter one. So in this mock, Jalen Carter fell to number 9. I ran to the board and turned in the card, and even crazier than that, I had some guys fall to me on day 2 as well. The tackle class was gone. Everybody drafted, so I went best player available. I grabbed the best center in the draft, John Michael Schmitz, an electrifying runner in Jahmyr Gibbs, and an edge rusher in Derek Hall. I loved what I was able to accomplish early, but I still had a huge hole at right tackle. Rather than just hoping that one guy could get the job done, I spent back-to-back picks at tackle and brought in Jalen Duncan and Wanye Morris to compete for the right tackle spot. Carter Warren was also considered there. I then added another edge in Isaiah McGuire, cornerback Riley Moss, and then back to the defensive line with Jalen Redmond and Robert Bill. This mock was also insane, but fans would be going crazy after day 2 if we haven't picked a tackle yet. But how could you be mad if we end up with Jalen Carter, John Michael Schmitz, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Derek Hall? I definitely wouldn't be upset. Okay, and then one final mock. This is the doomsday scenario for some, where we don't get Jalen Carter, we don't take an offensive tackle, and we don't trade down. In this one, I have us taking Lucas Van Ness in the first round. Let's see how it turns out. I was able to grab Steve Avila in round 2, Matthew Bergeron with my other pick in the second round to be my right tackle, then followed that up with Darius Rush at corner. Zach Pickens is my potential 3-tech. I added another corner in Jacorian Bennett at a nice value, and then another edge in Dylan Horton, another great value. I brought in Wanye Morris for more competition at right tackle with Matthew Bergeron, and then Bryce Ford Wheaton is an athletic freak at receiver in the 7th round, and Jake Andrews, a backup center guard prospect, as my last pick. I really like this draft as well. Obviously, I prefer the other 2 more, but I just want to showcase that even if you don't like who we take in the first round tonight, let the draft play out before freaking out. Poles has a lot of different ways to attack this draft. My final guess at Ryan Poles' top 5 players going into tonight's draft: Jalen Carter, Tyree Wilson, Will Anderson, Darnell Wright, and Paris Johnson Jr. Those are my 5. I expect the pick to go into the trenches. That means we'll probably take a cornerback like Devin Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez. I'm kidding, I think, but I kind of mean it. We don't know what Ryan Poles will do, and he's given himself a ton of flexibility. I will be live at 7:30 Eastern Time tonight, talking NFL draft with the picks broadcast on the screen. Come hang out, experience the NFL draft with me. My buddy Viper, the man about tech, should be joining me to answer all your questions and bring in some hype. The draft is finally here. I couldn't be more excited. Please hit that like button for me. And until next time, bear down.
Swifty in the house!